Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 mini-series with the Los Angeles Angels. And we are finally about to get the 2027 to 2028 offseason underway. Talked briefly at the end of the last episode about the fact that couldn't find Andres Rodriguez, one of the top players in our organization, in AAA, even though I knew that's where he was, and that's where he's listed as being. And I'm sure some of you knew exactly what I was not thinking about, but he is on loan in the Arizona Fall League at this point, where he is tearing things up so far. 25 hits, including 10 doubles, a triple, and 3 home runs in his first 20 games, hitting .352 with a ridiculous .204 WRC plus there. Do like the enhanced development leagues in this version of the game. Does give an opportunity to get a little extra playing time for some key prospects, although you don't have a choice. Evan Crest, who was a high pick of ours, second rounder in 25, also in the development league, although he is nowhere near as successful, 0-2 with an ERA in the mid-fives. And then the others are pretty random. Mason White is a guy who we signed as a minor league free agent just a couple months ago, just to fill out the organization when we needed an infielder in AAA. And then Connor Burns is a really good defensive catcher who's just never going to be a major league hitter, but he's actually been in the Arizona Fall League 2 straight years. Hit 108 a year ago and not much better with a 172 average this time around. So like the fact that they do have the developmental leagues going, would love if down the line there was an opportunity to kind of pick which players went and got that experience, but certainly not going to complain about it because it is a feature that I like. Back to our friend, the top prospect in our organization, Mr. Andres Rodriguez, and we've gotten a lot of good feedback from the worldwide scouting department, and it's been unanimous feedback from the likes of DLL, First Base 14, Kevin McDowell, Gene C., Leo Volpain, Tyler M., Jay Bird, and Avery Shayam all suggest that we likely play him at catcher to begin next season, potentially take advantage of the prospect promotion incentive that is in this year's version of the game. And we also do have the opportunity, as we talked about last time, to change our acquire Cy Young Award winner owner goal to upgrade a position in center field. And we certainly think that Rodriguez could be an upgrade and will be an upgrade eventually. He's in the development lab working on his home run power, trying to generate more bat speed. As we talked about, he's also playing in the Arizona Fall League, and our intent is to hopefully have him work on his defense in a shorter program in a few months after he finishes the long hitting program. His range is perfectly fine, but would love if that error rating and even the arm got a little bit better. But I do think that this is a situation where the worldwide scouting department knows better than me. I think I was going to be pretty reticent to put him on the major league roster, but good, rational arguments made by the worldwide scouting department as to how it could help, including the fact that it's hard to imagine he'll be much worse offensively than Grant McCray, who put up just a 76 WRC plus for us a year ago. But now, with the likelihood that we're going to have Rodriguez on the major league roster next year, and Kyle Tucker almost certainly on the major league roster, although YME943 has suggested potentially trading him away. I'm not quite ready to do that yet, although Tucker has definitely been disappointing since we picked him up. But with the likes of Tucker and Rodriguez, Cruz, and Nolan, Ryan S., plus Grant McCray and Matthew Lugo, likely fighting the 6 of them for 5 spots in the outfield on our roster. The need to really go after immediately a Matt Wallner type seems a little lower to me than it did. Some of the members of the Worldwide Scout Department have also brought up, wait until the winter meetings to make a trade anyways. And we're certainly also going to be hoping that there might be some very interesting international free agents when we sim through the next few weeks and get to the start of free agency on November 28th. And since we are going to be moving on from several arbitration eligible players and also trying potentially to trade away Corbin Burns' contract, we're going to have plenty of money if there is a A-plus international free agent on the market. Since the last episode, we have made an offer to Dylan Cruz. Likely we'll be bringing him back. Almost certainly we'll be bringing back Nolan as well. We've also made an offer to Roasny Contreras. He'll likely be a swing man. He's penciled in as our 5th starter right now. But hopefully we'll find somebody better, either from one of the youngsters in our system or maybe someone we pick off over the course of the offseason. We'll likely be moving on from Reed Detmers, who was looking for over $7.5 million and has essentially no trade value. Likely moving on from Jose Soriano, who's looking for about $5.5 million and essentially has no trade value. And then, as I mentioned, we'll be looking to get the about $11 million that we would be spending on Corbin Burns off the books as well. Burns probably a little better than Contreras as a pitcher at this point, but for about $5 million more, I think we'll go with the younger Contreras, where we're not potentially still involved in a long-term commitment. Still deciding what to do with Logan O'Hoppe and Brooks Lee. Lee could be back for another season as a potential utility infielder for us. But O'Hoppe, I do like the fact that he can play catcher. And given that he doesn't have a ton of trade value right now, or at least not as much as we had hoped for a guy who can play catcher and hit over 30 homers a season ago, even though the number for him, around 7.8 million, is going to be pretty high with the financial situation that we're in right now and the fact we're going to be opening up a lot more money through some of the other guys that we're going to move on from that I was just mentioning. And we do have flexibility to take scouting and player development both down from the lofty levels that they're already at. I think we can probably afford to make an offer to O'Hoppe arbitration-wise and still potentially think about moving on from him in the next couple of months if the roster materializes in a way where we just don't think we want him on board. The issue is that with a couple guys who were in the minors at the start of last season, Drake Baldwin and the 21-year-old Juan Flores as our potential 2 catchers next year, we don't really have anyone else in the organization who's a major league quality catcher other than O'Hoppe. So I do like keeping him around as a potential DH/first baseman and then an insurance policy if we were to have some injuries to the catchers. Because when I look at the upcoming free agents and the catcher position in general, other than Wilson Contreras, who's looking for over $17 million, not a lot of good defensive catchers and really not too much in the way of hitters available as well. Gary Sanchez might be about as good as it comes as far as the catchers who are available offensively, and he put up a 47 WRC plus last season. So that's kind of high level what I'm thinking right now. I am going to start simming forward, make some decisions in arbitration, and continue to shop players. I think we're going to try to get Burns off the books when we move to tomorrow. It's been 2 or 3 days in real life since the last time I shopped him. I felt like we might have been able to get Kyle Manzardo, who we talked about last episode, straight up for him. And although Manzardo really is a man without a position defensively, and I don't think there's any guarantee that he would make our major league team next year, I think he's cheaper and potentially more useful to what we're trying to do than Mr. Burns is right now. So unless I'm totally making up what I was thinking about, might be time to shop Mr. Burns and see if Mr. Manzardo is really on the list. Pretty interesting scouting discovery. Gabriel Santiago looks like he's going to have outstanding control, good stamina. Got a lot of work to do on his stuff and his movement, but for a random guy to join the organization, not bad. And we have made some coaching offers, had a couple of gaps that we want to fill. Seth Mejias-Breen, we've made an offer to bring him on board as our third base coach. Excellent with in-game running and a pretty good teacher overall, so think he could be a nice addition to the team, and also someone that we will expect to have good relationships with the team overall. So I think he'll be a great asset. A couple of other potential moves. We've also made an offer for a new manager after the aging Ron Washington retired, and looking for a new manager in Salt Lake as well. Since we've only simmed forward one day, don't really know what type of reaction those candidates have to the offers that we've made to them. We will go ahead and do what we were just talking about in shop Corbin Burns again. I want to say I think Manzardo was someone we could get from him yesterday, so I don't think that would have changed too much. Can also pick up Alec Bregman if we want to spend a ton of money. Jose Altuve, Pete Alonso, a lot of Brian Reynolds, a lot of veterans making a lot of money. I guess I was imagining Manzardo. Maybe it was somebody else. I felt like it was Ohapi, definitely, but I felt like there was somebody else I had shopped yesterday who could have gotten us Manzardo. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but I'll spend a little time looking at this list. If there's a major league guy who can help us, great. If not, was just mentioning that catcher is a weakness for us. Miguel Palma, good personality, competent defensively, although not a great arm. Does have 3 option years left to get Burns' contract off our books and at least give us another option behind the plate if we do have some injuries. That's something to think about. Could see most of the guys that were offered for Burns at this point, who is still a competent major league starter. He's just overpaid for what he is, making almost $31 million. Fortunately, we're only on the hook for 35% of that. But a lot of the guys that we can get from him are very overpaid veterans, and then just some random guys on minor league contracts. Doesn't look like there's going to be any true difference makers, although Dylan Carlson, could be another bat to throw in the mix for the outfield. A little more competent defensively than some of the guys that we currently have. Switch hitter, doesn't have a bunch of power, but still put up a 111 WRC plus a year ago. Set to make about $6 million in arbitration next year, which is, I think, getting certainly fairly priced and potentially fully priced for what he is. And this is mostly just about getting Burnsy's contract off the books, since we don't want to be spending almost $11 million on a 5th starter. Miguel Palma, the catcher, and it looks like he is actually going to be heading to free agency, but hopefully we'll be able to re-sign him to a minor league contract, get a tiny amount of cash in return, get Burns off the books, free up some more money for next season. So I think it makes sense on a lot of levels, even though we're potentially getting very little, if anything, back in return. I think we're still getting value and at least optionality heading into free agency in the offseason by getting the commitment we've made to Burns gone. So we're going to go ahead and complete the trade, and we're going to continue looking at some of these other guys. But as I alluded to, a lot of these arbitration eligible players have essentially no value at their numbers. Reed Detmers was an all-star back in 2025, and you can see can only get some of the worst contracts in baseball back for him. I think it's a pretty similar situation, as I was alluding, for Jose Soriano as well. These guys have been, Soriano actually a little bit more of a list, but still is generally guys making way too much money for what they are. Tyler Locklear, decent first base type, but we've kind of got a dearth of first base free agent types at this first base DH types at this point. And despite the fact that he did put up a ridiculous 193 WRC plus and 59 at-bats last year, tend to think he's not really going to perform quite at that level in the majors. That being said, if we're going to get rid of Soriano anyways, Locklear's got a couple option years left, making the major league minimum. I don't think it hurts us to bring him on board. I think I'd rather have him than pay Soriano $5.5 million, use up a spot on the 40-man roster, but it does potentially give us a little more optionality. And I had to look at Willy Adames, who's actually still a pretty good major league player, but making way too much money at over $31 million a year for the Giants. I didn't think they would keep a huge amount of his contract. They'll keep 30% of him for Soriano, but we would still be spending over $20 million a year on him, which is closer to a fair price, but given that he's been a well below average offensive player 2 straight years at this point, and he's 32 years old, despite the good personality, a bat that looks like it should be okay, decent speed and a good glove, as well as that Iron Man injury proneness, I think I'd just rather keep a little more optionality for free agency in the trade market going forward. So we went ahead and ended up traded Soriano for Locklear, as we had talked about. As we saw, Detmers essentially no value. Brooks Lee, still debating what to do with him. I don't think there's great value with him, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's still just kind of the same list. Brooks Lee was the guy who could have gotten us Manzardo. I did say that I felt like there was a second guy in addition to Mr. O'Hoppe who could have gotten us Manzardo, and it was Brooks Lee. So that, if I'm really going to move on from Lee, that's something to consider. And if I think O'Hoppe is potentially our second backup infielder, even though he can only really play first base and then catcher, then I don't need Brooks Lee at a price tag of $2.2 million. Lee's been a solid utility guy for us. Half a win above replacement a year ago, 0.7 of a win above replacement this past year. But that being said, he's still a below replacement level player for the course of his career. Now, as a guy who's heading into his age 27 season, he's probably in the prime of his career right now. So my hunch is he'd be a positive WAR player for us again next year. But Manzardo is interesting to bring on board. The left-handed hitter definitely has a bat that can play against right-handed pitching. The issue, though, and we were just talking about this with another guy on the market, is that he is purely a DH/first base type. He's going to be a pretty bad defensive first baseman, only 5'11", with poor ratings. And with that 35 outfield range, 30 error rating, and 35 arm, he's going to be a butcher in the outfield as well. So he's really just a bat. But he still has option years left, and the price tag of $2.4 million isn't that crazy. He has been a bit above average offensively over the course of his major league career, and importantly, as a left-handed hitter against right-handed pitching, he's been 18% better than average offensively. I don't think there's a guarantee that he even makes our team, but I think we might investigate further bringing him on board. And we can get Manzardo and a tiny bit of cash for Brooks Lee. I think we're going to do that. As we talked about last episode, we view the youngster Mershon as our number one utility infielder potentially for next year, and feel pretty good about our starters with Guerrero Jr. at first, Neto at second, Barger at third, and Volpe at short. Having Manzardo on board just gives us some optionality if we want to down the line. Trade away Nolan, trade away an Ohapi, trade away a Dylan Cruz, trade away Mr. Lugo, maybe even trade away our former starting center fielder, Mr. McRae, if we're really going to have Rodriguez on the roster. There's a scenario where Manzardo's bat is useful, and we've got enough money that if we have to be spending a couple $1 million on a guy that we stash in AAA next year in case of injuries, I don't think it kills us. So we're going to go ahead and complete that deal as well. So we've decided we're going to make offers to Nolan, to Ohapi, and then obviously to the recently acquired Manzardo. Have a hard time believing that when we get into a numbers game, all three of those guys will be on our 26-man roster. But I think we can potentially trade excess away. Not going to necessarily get a ton in return, but I think we'd rather have more decent to good players potentially in the mix than fewer, with the fact that we're not going to make an offer to Detmers with some of the money that we picked up in the trades that we made, those little amounts, and with getting Burns and the placeholder for Soriano off the books. We're now heading into a position for this coming season where we're going to have money to spend in free agency. It's just a matter, is there going to be a free agent that interests us? And don't think that as far as major league free agents, there's necessarily going to be anyone there that we're in love with. But I do feel that there could be, hopefully if we get lucky, some options as far as international free agents. So I'm not expecting us to be particularly rewarded in the upcoming awards season, but we'll check in as the awards get announced over the next few weeks. We also have finally gotten some feedback from the managers that we've made offers to. Jan Rivera is the guy that we have offered to take and make our major league manager. I'm pretty sure we offered him major league manager. I actually got to check now because Larry Gilligan was the other guy that we have made an offer to. I think it's the younger guy, Jan Rivera, who will potentially be our new manager next season, but let me just make sure. Yeah, made the offer to Mahias Breen to be our third base coach, Jan Rivera to be our manager in LA, and then Larry Gilligan to be our manager in Salt Lake next year. So hopefully those will all work out. Jan Rivera, expect him to have good relationships with the players on the Angels, and he's a conventional manager style, has a personality that works well with the people we have there. Going to let me kind of control things as far as anything I want to do. And he's excellent in development, good with mechanics, and excellent handling aging. Hopefully, by the time he gets players, they're pretty fully developed anyways, but particularly for this upcoming season where we might have a guy like Rodriguez who still has a lot of work to do as far as development on the roster. A guy who's excellent with development and good with mechanics at the major league level. Hopefully can help on the margins in terms of that development. And both Jan Rivera and Larry Gilligan have agreed to their contracts, so we're waiting on Mahias Breen, who was the first one who told us that he likes our offer. And our mythical assistant GM suggests, since we're always looking for a young starting pitcher, to pursue Jose Corniel from the Texas Rangers organization. Certainly looks like he could be a useful major league pitcher. 7-6 with a 4.67 ERA in AAA Round Rock for the Rangers last year. Unfortunately, there's not a single player in our organization who would convince the Rangers to give him to us, so probably not something we're going to spend a lot of time thinking about. And the arbitration eligible players are starting to sign contracts along with some minor league players. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like anyone that we've signed is particularly popular. No change to fan interest, still at an 83. Still waiting to hear on a few people. And what happened with Garrett McDaniels? Did he refuse our offer? Why is there no asterisk next to Garrett McDaniels? I'm pretty sure we want to bring him back as a potential left-handed reliever. Wants more dollars. I like that, actually. I don't like that he wants more dollars, but I do like that there's a little bit of back and forth here with him. He is a good reliever. Thought we had made an offer to him that he would accept. Supposedly looking for $1.7 million, so we'll offer him a little more now and see if we can bring him on board, or back on board more accurately. And our scout wondering what we think of Paul Skenes, who is already a 4-time All-Star at this point. Yeah, well, we would love to have Paul Skenes on the team. Pittsburgh has actually signed him to an extension through his 30s. He'll be paying him $39 million a year at the end. I am pretty confident that there's not anything we can do organization-wise to bring him on board. Let's just see how crazy we'd have to be at these trade settings. If we give them Andres Rodriguez, the number 6 prospect in baseball, he's still angry. Give them the next best prospect in our organization, number 39, Tony Godinez. Stop wasting my time. Send him Sean Gamble, the number 44 prospect in baseball. And he's still angry at us. Andy Kraft, former second-round pick, high schooler, who's a pretty good pitching prospect. Ben Cherington still not happy. Let's give him one of the top young pitchers, Taj Bradley. Get serious or don't bother. We'll throw in Schwellenbach. Wasting my time. So Skenes is good, but we've just offered him 2 pretty good major league starting pitchers, 3 top 50 prospects, and a former second round pick who's also a pretty good future prospect. And Ben Cherington still says we're wasting our time with such an offer. Quite honestly, I don't think I'd give half of what he's requesting for Skenes, but not going to be an option for us anyways. And I mean, this last example is, to me, and we've talked about this in previous versions, when you're playing on the hardest trade settings, yeah, you can't get a lot of trades done, but as great as Skenes is, and he certainly is great, I think Pittsburgh's insane for not taking the package that we've offered for him. So that's like a situation where the hardest trade setting is just, no, I'm not going to make a trade with you, even when you offer, in my mind, an insane return to Pittsburgh that would probably set them up to be one of the best teams in baseball over most of the next decade. But Skenes is officially a homegrown talent for them, and he's obviously off to an incredible start in his career. So I get not wanting to move on from him, although I think we made an offer that any other general manager other than Ben Cherington would be very happy to accept for Mr. Skenes. And the first base, DH, left field types, Ohapi, Nolan, and Manzardo all agreed to contracts. Seth Mejias-Breen also agrees to a contract, so we've got a full coaching staff once again, and you can see also signing some players to minor league extensions as well. And the reliever McDaniels and the starter Christian Scott signed, so unfortunately none of our arbitration eligible players that we signed were popular. Nothing helped us with fan interest, but all of the arbitration eligible players that we wanted to have back are signed. Detmers we're not making an offer to. He's got no trade value. And the others that we didn't want, such as Brooks Lee and Jose Soriano, were traded away for other assets over the past few days. And fortunately, the catcher we traded for, Miguel Palma, did sign a minor league extension with us. So given that he's still got those 3 option years left, we'll be able to stash him in AAA for the time being and not even have to guarantee him a major league contract. So that's even better. And in the least surprising news ever, Juan Moreno, last year's prized international free agent, the Cuban infielder, is your National League Rookie of the Year after leading the league in runs, homers, ribbies, slugging percentage, OPS, and WRC+. The big question is whether he will join the likes of Fred Lynn and Ichiro winning MVP and Rookie of the Year in the same season. And the major awards have been announced. Garrett Crochet of the Red Sox is your American League Cy Young Award winner for a second consecutive season. Led the league with 19 wins and 258 strikeouts, as well as a 0.95 whip. Shane McClanahan of Tampa, second in the voting. Little insulted that Taj Bradley, who's now on our team, is for whatever reason listed as Tampa Bay Ray for the voting for the Cy Young Award. Over in the National League, Andrew Painter, 29 first place votes for the Phillies' excellent young pitcher, 12-4 record with a league best 2.93 ERA, almost 12 strikeouts per 9 innings, league best 64 FIP minus, and a 6.3 WAR. And Paul Skenes was the only other one who got a first place vote for the NL Cy Young Award. Riley Green of the Detroit Tigers is your most valuable player here in the American League. Green led the league with 111 runs, 216 hits, 358 batting average, OPS of close to 1,000. So a monster year for the young left fielder for the Tigers. Addison Barger, our third baseman, is 4.3 WAR, I believe, led our team this past year, and he's the only Los Angeles Angel to get any MVP votes this year. Over in the National League, as we thought might be the case, Juan Moreno, your Rookie of the Year / MVP. He ended up signing that contract, averaging $41.5 million over 7 years with the Phillies. We had offered him $40 million over 7 years. If you remember, he came back to us, said he wanted about $46.5 million to sign with us. Guessing we probably could have gotten him for 43, 44 million in retrospect. But here's hoping now there will be another international free agent close to as good as him that maybe we can pursue next year. And Andres Rodriguez, good news for the hopeful future center fielder for us. He was just named the Arizona Fall League Most Valuable Player. Ended up playing in 31 games, led the league with 13 doubles, 28 ribbies, 22 walks, 451 on base, slugging percentage of over 600, 1.068 OPS, and a 196 WRC plus. So he got some good playing time there in the Arizona Fall League, and hopefully he'll do well in the development lab and be ready to potentially be our center fielder next year. And while we're talking about him, I think it is time, since I have to agree with the advice of the Worldwide Scouting Department that we'll go after the prospect promotion incentive. It's very conceivable that Rodriguez is better than McRae, who was going to be center fielder for us anyways. But we might as well discuss, and we're going to move to the new proposed goal to upgrade center field, with the thought that Rodriguez will definitely be an upgrade for us when all is said and done. So we are going to replace that goal and hopefully upgrade from Grant McRae by getting Mr. Rodriguez to be our center fielder next year. And we've made it to the start of free agency. We'll take a look at who actually made it onto the market as far as major league free agents, and then do the real interesting thing. And we can see the real interesting thing right here, actually. There's a big-time international catching prospect in Kengo Yamaguchi. Solid defensively, potentially great home run bat, and a great eye in terms of walks. He's going to strike out a stupid amount of time, looking for almost $40 million a year. Kengo, Leaping Mike Yamaguchi, clearly the top free agent out there. Other than that, the class kind of looks as expected. Taking a look at the pitchers available. Let's hope there's some great international pitcher on the top of this list. Doesn't look like that's the case. So unfortunately, it looks like the catcher is probably the prize of the international free agent pool. Some interesting relievers out there, and then with Sale and DeGrom, a couple interesting starters as well. Glass now could say the same thing. And then some very familiar relievers looking for big money with Luke Weaver, Joan Duran, and Sam Hentges all on the market. Interestingly, those guys are all going to be extremely hard for us to sign after we didn't bring Duran or Hentges back and traded away Weaver not all that long ago. We'll take a quick look at the international free agent pool, but I'm pretty sure I've seen the most interesting guy out there. Closer Mitsuo Ota, decent left-handed pitching prospect. Don't know that actually 1.4 million. He might not even be looking for a major league contract. Might be looking for a minor league contract, yeah, with a major league option if promoted. So somebody to think about, but not a impact type pitcher. Another pitching prospect, Il Hwan Hyun. It's like a adequate right-handed reliever. Kengo Yamaguchi is the monster this year. Actually looks like he could play a corner outfield spot. I mean, I like him as a catcher too. He's more than competent there. 6'1", he could also play first base, but he could play left field, right field, first base, or catcher. He's definitely worth scouting up more. 32 years old. Oof. Looking for 7 years at almost $40 million a year at 32 years old. Second baseman Jose Amaya. Okay looking bat, not much of a glove, wants $16 million. Papa Paz. And 22-year-old center fielder Willie Sanchez. Looks like a usable fourth or fifth outfielder. So unfortunately, I don't know if there's a obvious answer for us in the international free agent pool. Yamaguchi is by far the best. Super smart, but he puts out the bare minimum of effort. So he's going to have a high baseball IQ and a low work ethic if my spidey senses are correct. Good news is we've set ourselves up where we've got a ton of money to spend in free agency. The bad news is I don't know how excited I am to spend that money on anyone who's actually available. So we will chew on our options between now and the next episode. If you've got thoughts on which direction we should maybe consider going, would love to hear those as well. Until our next episode, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.